make it easy to get started, make the easy things easy, make the hard things possible. Don't let the developer get blocked.
I'm joined today by Tuhin, the CEO and co-founder of Baseten, an inference platform that just announced the $150 million of Series D funding. Tuhin shares a really interesting origin story and how they've been able to capitalize on the huge wave of GenAI, how to actually move fast, what does that actually mean? And he shares something quite interesting, which is they have this internal motto to do anything that will increase inference. Yeah, I would love to know the Baseten story, because I know that you guys have been building stuff for a while and it's just been exploding lately, and I'd just love to hear the story.
Yeah, we started the company in 2019, and we kind of started the company against this backdrop that machine learning was going to be a big deal. We didn't really know how, but we knew that we wanted to be kind of around it. So we were like, oh, let's build a picks and shovels business, next to it. And, I'd say from 2019 to 2022, 2023, we were in our build phase. We were building a lot of the right primitives that we need now, but we weren't seeing the demand from the market as much. And then I think, that period was challenging in a lot of ways. It kind of wasn't in other ways, we were just having a good time building stuff. It wasn't that stressful. And then, in 2023, the market kind of showed up and I'd say we had to reposition slightly. Maybe people sometimes call it a pivot. It wasn't a pivot. It was more just hey, we're going here and just start going there. And once we did that, the last couple of years have just kind of been insane in a good way. So yeah, that's kind of the story. I think maybe a good way to think about the company's kind of background is that we were around probably 10 to 20 people for 3 years. And then now we're over 120. Below that growth has come in the last 18 months, I'd say, from a headcount perspective.
Yeah. Was it immediately obvious? Was it just ChatGPT launched and was it kind of a slow?
I don't think so. It was obvious that something was different, but it wasn't immediately obvious that we were onto something, if that makes sense. Even I'd say the end of 2023, there was a lot of demand from the market for sure, but these things are so fickle and the market was changing so fast and, still very stressful in other ways. So I don't think it was it wasn't oh, this is it. I think now we look at the market, I was oh, wow, we got pretty lucky and we found a great market and we're building the right things and we're focused on the right things. And now it feels a bit more oh, wow, it is something to lose. But I think in the moment, it wasn't oh my God, today, yesterday wasn't there and today is there. It's a, incremental thing, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what is the biggest difference between I guess it was a build, you said it was a build phase, but was there anything that became things that were more important then, and then?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Look, I think we're building something for data scientists running, models for mostly internal flows, which is what the world was back then. And so we had this application builder that they could, build front-end applications with. We had a model deployment piece that you could deploy a model from your laptop. And then we had this serverless code piece where you could kind of stitch together your model with other code. And the beauty of it was when you tied it all together. I think in the end of the day, number one and number three, we killed. And then we just started focusing. We went all in number two. It is funny though, but because that third piece, the serverless code piece, we're kind of building another version of that now, which is to run execution sandboxes for LLMs. And it's just it's kind of the same problem, just a different, same problem, different user. And so I'd say in the soul wasn't that different, just the surface area was bigger.
Mm.
And now I'd say the surface area is narrower, but the problem space is deeper with what we're working on. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And then what is like the biggest challenge when there is this kind of like such huge demand like that because I think not many people have been in that position.
I think it's just like to keep up, right? And like keep the quality up. And our instincts are very much to not like, we want to satisfy all demand to some extent. And I think the biggest challenges are usually just around trade-offs. Like, if you do this, you're not going to do this. If you're going to serve this customer, you're probably going to serve that other customer well. If you're going to spend all your time on recruiting, product will suffer. If you spend all your time on product recruiting, you suffer. Like, it just kind of, in a lot of ways, like those challenges aren't that different to, like, when you're 5 people in the department and figuring out what to do. It just, it's what has changed for us at least is that the speed has just gone up a lot. Our customers moving very, very fast. So, we work with some of the fastest growing AI companies in the world, and, they move very fast. We just don't want to be the bottleneck to them, and we want to be like an accelerant for them. And so keeping up with that is just, it's hard. It's especially if you have fast teams working on fast growing companies against like a dynamic landscape, which is AI right now. And then we're trying to serve kind of the infrastructure layer for that. And, it can be chaos at times, if that makes sense.
Scaling DevTools is sponsored by WorkOS. At some point, you'll land a customer who needs enterprise features like audit trails, SSO, role-based access control. You could spend ages tearing your hair out building these things yourself, or you could use WorkOS. Let's hear from Upal from Digger.dev.
I can speak for open source companies because I think that's where I have the most experience personally. If you're open source and you're doing enterprise first, the minute you think about monetization is when you should think about WorkOS. How it's designed is that you can start as early as day 0. But for us, it wasn't day 0. It was closer to when we first started monetizing because we didn't have a sign up at all. People could just anonymously use our tool. To be honest, if we do that again, I think we'd think about that on day 0, to be honest, because we should have done it on day 0, ideally. Anonymous usage should be permitted, but you should know who's using your tool. It should be opt-in, 100%. But it'd be great to have auth from day 0. So yeah, that's what I think.
Thanks, WorkOS. Back to the episode. How do you move fast? It's like kind of hard. Yeah.
Good question. I mean, maybe actually it's, you just joined a small company. It's like, what would you say is like the number one thing for you guys to move fast? I'll tell you mine after that. I bet you it's the same.
Okay.
I bet you it's probably the same.
I think ours is like focusing on the right things and like, yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same.
So like, it's kind of the same thing. But I think like the biggest thing, which is like you need to do in a really small company, is that you just need to kill the feedback loops between you and your customer. And like make them really, really, really fast. And I think that is just like the biggest driver. And like that is everything from how long does it take you to ship something? How long does it take you to hear the feedback about something? How long does it take you to improve it, communicate it, and then test it? So like we rely very heavily on being deeply embedded with our customers. And I think there's like a real upside on both sides of that.
Yeah. How do you get deeply embedded?
We have a forward deployed engineering team, but I think it's more just like a cultural thing beyond that, which is like, we start everything not with technology, but with what is like the user problem that we're trying to solve and what are we trying to unlock for customers, and then we move backwards.
Like you're optimizing from like you got the same optimization as them rather than optimizing like
Exactly.
once you hear this needs to be faster, but you don't understand why, or like, yeah,
exactly. It's like how pure can that like feedback loop be? Because like a lot of folks like it slow down when you start to rely on, user surveys or the product manager who goes and does a bunch of user studies and what we want with like our engineers to be as close to the engineers that they're serving. And if they're communicating directly, I feel like we will get to the right long-term answer.
Do you do a lot of like in-person stuff? Because I know it's just with us, like sometimes like people don't, like you get like Slack messages and then, Yeah.
Yeah, we try to. A lot of our customers, we're all engineers. Like we would rather just get on the Zoom call, turn the video off, turn the video
Yeah.
off, uh,
Yeah.
and
True.
and like 8 minutes in, be like, "Are we done?" It's a lot less coordinated than that. It's a lot more impromptu. I'd say it's like imagine like pair programming with your customers. Like that's like the way to put it. I'd say.
It's kind of like side point, but how do you like manage your time? Because it seems like you're quite good at that.
No. With customer, there's a lot of sales stuff. I'm usually pretty close during like the rollout of a lot of customers. I do a lot of recruiting and then like a lot of the kind of more boring investor stuff as well. That I end up spending a lot of time on. So I don't think I manage my time that well, to be honest. I think I just end up working more. And so and so yeah, but I think it's a bit like what you said about yourself earlier, which is it's like a jack of all trades type of vibe more than anything else. Like you kind of just do everything. You kind of do everything kind of bad, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it'll work out.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that was the case for me. I thought that you would be doing it all. Okay, that's super good to know. One thing I wanted to ask you about is I've seen you talk about like how you want to work on or you want to push anything that will lead to more inference.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting way because maybe other people, DevTools, could think about what their inference is, and I just love to like hear about that.
What we believe is that every company in 10 years from now either needs to be AI first or AI enabled. And, if that is true cool. I think the second piece is that over time, we believe by a lot of model capability gets commoditized. And like, I don't mean like actually commoditized. I'm just like, hey, like we start to converge at some point, barring step function changes, big step function architectural changes in what models are capable of. If that is the case, open source will have a big part to play and custom models will have a big part to play. If that is the case, there's going to be a lot of models and a lot of applications that need models and they're going to need a underlying infrastructure layer. And that's why we work on inference to start with. And so we think this is the biggest market, the biggest problem, the thing that is blocking end customer experiences of AI is how well you do inference. Focusing exclusively on inference has like given us a lot of clarity and it makes it easy for us to understand what to build. But naturally you start to think about it's like, hey, where are the other places where we can plug in from a product perspective? And one way we think about it is that there's a bit of a flywheel that happens with inference is that with inference creates data that you can then use to fine tune other models, which then create more inference. And along that whole journey, you need a lot of things, right? You need data collection pieces, you need evals, you need training tools, then you need serving tools. And we're like that whole inference is where we think like, we sit as a company and, we think that, look, if we're building our core thing will also be inference, but if we're building a training product, which we've built recently, is in service of, hey, we want the models to run in base 10. If we end up building like a evals framework or integrate with these great evals products that exist today, that is because we think that's going to lead to people using more models. To the extent we build a post-training product at some point, it's good, like our post-training product. It's because we think that those products even look like inference themselves. So really like our North Star is very much is what we are building directly or indirectly affecting the ability for these companies to run more models and do more inference. And if so, that's how we think about whether Baseten will build it at some point.
Yeah, that makes sense because I guess inference is when someone's actually using it, and so, all the other sides are like making that more useful, use it more. Like train. Yeah.
No, that's right. Like that's is like inference just begets more inference. And we just want to make sure all the scaffolding and tooling exists that, and like whether it's through us or whether the ecosystem that we plug into, like that is very important for us. And so like even the partnerships we do, like they're like, will this lead to more inference? Like when we go and work with a new cloud for compute, it's that is so we can provide more capacity to do more inference. And like the tagline is inference is everything, and inference is Baseten. Like that's how we want to think about the company and the product and the types of things we build.
What do you think are the key like developer experience like factors in inference for someone that's?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think like the biggest things in general for us are speed. Like I think developers get frustrated when things are slow. When the second one is debuggability. Like getting a model ready to get run is pretty hairy at times, and I think to the more extent you can be transparent about what's going on under the hood, the more developers feel home, and the more like the less likely they are to be like, oh, I'm frustrated, I just want to go and do this myself. And the third one probably is like observability, and like that's the same thing. It's along the same line, but just hey, like there's all the developer experience stuff that happens while you're trying to package up a model and get ready for inference, and then stuff that happens after the fact. Around I have a model running in production. What tools and data do I have access to understand how it's all going?
It does sound like very analogous with like kind of running just like classic compute in many ways. Like,
I mean, it's not so much different than like other like the value that Vercel provides or a Plaid Scale provides. It's like it's like make it easy to get started, make the easy things easy, make the hard things possible. So that's like don't let the developer get blocked when they want depth, and then at the end, like when I need observability, I need to understand what's going on in my systems. It's like so easy to work with, layers of depth and observability are like kind of like key terms that I think we think about.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's something that we're struggling with at the moment. Is like sometimes like when it doesn't work, making sure people understand why it didn't work and stuff. And it's very frustrating for our users. I think sometimes if we haven't exposed that and like,
and it's really hard. I think because that like you just need a lot of depth a lot of time.
Yeah,
because at some point, like we have developers on our team who are using other software, and like when they run into hurdles, they get upset and like, I'm just going to go build this myself. And like, it's like a terrifying thing. That's like the exact type of thing you don't want to elicit in your customers.
Yeah, it's tough to make sure you expose that right level of like abstraction without hiding things. Yeah,
totally. That balance is hard. The principle there that we use is easy things easy, hard things possible.
That makes sense. So if there's something very basic, they can just do it. Like probably don't even have to check the docs. It's like obvious. But if they want to do something niche, hard, they can, because you've exposed all the knobs to be able to
exactly.
do it. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Everyone should note that down. Okay, I wanted to ask you about the training products that you're launching or have launched.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, of course. We're in beta right now. I think we'll come out of beta pretty soon. We'll go GA probably by the time this episode's aired. We just keep getting asked. It's like, hey, can you bring the Baseten inference experience for training? The way we think about training is not, you bring your data and out comes the model. It's very much like, how do we get developers the ability to train models using Baseten? And so what that means is an abstraction above compute with all the developer experience things that we talked about. And so we just, once you hear it enough times, you just end up building. Like, one other way to think about it is from like a business perspective is that oftentimes when people, would be running a model, they're like, oh, can I just train here as well? And we'd be like, oh, no, go use this other product and then come back to us. And that's just, it just becomes leaky at some point where it's like you're giving someone else a lead for the inference because at the end of the day, most of the spend will be on inference time. And so it's a lot of like, keeping customers, there's a platform play to it. There's like keeping customers close to in one place part of it. There's also something I said to you earlier, which is, we want them to train on Baseten so they can run inference on Baseten. So like a lot of places run leading to more inference on Baseten. And then there's just the business reason for it, which is, hey, they're coming to us. They want to spend more money with us. Like, why are we sending them elsewhere?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to ask you two more questions. One is just, this is like coming at this from like someone who doesn't know a lot about the space. Is like kind of access to like GPUs, does it kind of become part of your like almost like speciality? Like, does it?
Yeah, I think it's more than that. I think yes. I think the answer is yes. Like I think, capacity is hard and flexible capacity is very challenging. And, one great thing that we have is two things. One, that we have 10 different clouds that we work with in 40 regions. And so we have a lot of flexibility. We also have collective bargaining ability to some extent where we can aggregate demand and get better pricing and pass that on to our customers. So I think it is a big feature. We have a big team on. No, we have a small team on it doing big things. We have a small team on it doing big things, but and at some point it becomes somewhat of like a competitive advantage for us. Our ability to just kind of like pluck compute from somewhere and add it to the cluster and expose that to customers. But we're not the cheapest place to get compute by any means. Like if you're going to use Baseten as a source of compute, one, you'll probably be pretty frustrated because you can ostensibly only do inference on that compute. And the second thing is that, if you just need compute, you can just go to other places and get it cheaper, way cheaper. So, you should do that. So, but it is part of the offering. We call it like batteries included to some extent, but it is not the offering.
Yeah. So it'd be like Vercel, kind of like you would like in that, if you just cared about like price of compute, you'd go to like Hetzner or something, but you want the developer experience and stuff. And
totally.
Yeah.
You're buying the abstraction to some extent.
Okay. Final question. I just wanted to ask you if you have any advice, anything that you're always saying to other DevTools founders earlier stage than you guys.
Yeah. Look, I'm in no place to give people advice. But the only thing I'll say is, just like stay close to customers and I think some of those like early abstractions of technology decisions you make, a lot of them you have to stick with for a long time, and they're a lot harder to rip out. So like almost like don't rush to market and just like hone the product and developer experience before and scale too much, because the minute it's out there and there's like and people rely on it, changing things becomes really hard and you're kind of stuck with what you had.
Yeah. How do you balance that with like putting it in people's hands and stuff? Would you just do like a beta program or something?
Yeah, you just keep it small. Also, like most developer tools are generally built by developers, and I think it's like also just like trust your intuition a lot. I think most people know what is good and what is bad, and like until you are truly delighted, just wait.
Okay, yeah, that's great advice. And I feel like the thing you said earlier as well about like shipping fast is like reducing the distance between customers or like the feedback loop.
Yeah, shortening the feedback loop.
Yeah, that's huge. Thank you so much, Tuhin. Where can people learn more about Baseten and about you?
Baseten.com is our website. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, all those good stuff. But you can also just email me if you want to chat. I'm always happy to chat. Tuhin@Baseten.com.
Okay, amazing. Thanks so much for joining, and thanks everyone for listening.